Okay, so I want to do a few more videos practicing balancing with redox oxidation numbers. So just to start off, this is how I usually teach it, is when I'm starting, we have the equation and we give this chart. I tell my students, don't rely on this chart, but it is a good way of starting just to see what's happening. So whenever you're balancing redox reactions, it is about the exchange of electrons. So you do want to start by assigning your oxidation numbers. So like we know oxygen is -2, hydrogen's +1. So within this neutral compound, nitrogen would have to be +5. Same thing over here, oxygen -2, hydrogen +1. So that would bring us to -6 + 3. So this would have to be +3. And we'll just keep going. A +5. 2, +1. Okay, so we assign all of our numbers, and now we take a look at what's changing. And what's changing here, we have nitrogen going from +5 to +4. So my one element I'm looking at is nitrogen going from 5 to 4. That's an exchange of 1 electron. And because there's no subscript on my nitrogen, that's just one atom. So when I take a look from that atom, that is just an exchange of 1. Then I'll look at my next one and I see that AS is going from +3 to +5. So that is an exchange of 2 electrons. Same thing, no subscript, so just one atom, so that's going to be a 2. Then we want to balance electrons, so we'll multiply the nitrogen by 2, so that we'll have 2 electrons being exchanged for each. So doing that, if the nitrogen is what needs to be multiplied by 2, we'll put a 2 here. And as soon as we do that, then you balance the rest by inspection. So that's our starting point. Then we take a look to see what we have to balance. So it looks like we need a 2 in front of the nitrogen over here. And is that, what else do we need? AS is balanced. 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. I think that's good. So that's our first example. So that's with using a chart. I'll do one more with a chart, and then we'll do one without the chart. So let's go again by balancing our simple ions. So -2, +1, which would make chlorine +1. Over here, this would be a +1 and a -1. Over here, -2. Sodium would be +1. And iodine would then have to be +5. And lastly, we have +1 and -1. So let's see what's changing. And we have iodine going from -1 to +5. And we also have chlorine going from +1 to -1. So I have iodine going from -1 to +5. That's an exchange of 6 electrons. There is no subscript, so just one atom, so 6 electrons altogether. And then looking at chlorine going from +1 to -1, that's an exchange of 2 electrons. Again, one atom, so a total of 2. So this would make our chlorine needs to be multiplied by 3, so we can get an exchange of 6 electrons by each, because that's what, again, redox is. It's an exchange of electrons, and those exchanging needs to be the same. So if we're multiplying chlorine by 3, we'll put a 3 in front of the HOCl, and then you balance the rest by inspection. So we would need a 3 over here, and then I believe everything else stays balanced. Okay, so there's a few using the chart. Now, if we don't have the chart, we can keep going, doing what we were doing by assigning our oxidation numbers. So cobalt is +3. Over here, it's +2. Nickel is 0. Over here, it's +2. So cobalt is going from 3 to 2. That's an exchange of 1 electron, and there's only 1 ion, so 1 altogether. Nickel is going from 0 to +2. That's an exchange of 2 electrons, and there's only 1 atom, so times 1 just gives you 2 electrons. Now, our goal is to make our electrons the same. So to make 2 electrons from the cobalt, we'll put a 2 in front, and then a 2 over here, balance the rest by inspection, and we're balanced. Let's try just one more here. Doing the same thing, we want to start with our oxidation numbers. So here, hydrogen is +1, sulfur would have to be -2, oxygen is 0, sulfur by itself is 0, +1, -2. So we see that sulfur is going from -2 to 0, so that's an exchange of 2 electrons and 1 atom, so a total of 2. And oxygen is going from 0 to -2, so that is also an exchange of 2 electrons, but this time we have a 2 here, so we have 2 atoms undergoing that change, so that's a total of 4 electrons. So to balance this out, we'll need to multiply our H2S by 2 so we can get 4 electrons being exchanged, and then balance the rest by inspection. So I believe we need a 2 here and a 2 here. As always, I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please make sure to like and subscribe. And if there's any other video I can ever do for you, just leave me a comment. Thank you for watching.